fitness and athletic performance expert Jason Blaha is possibly the most modest and unassuming YouTuber ever. With a popular channel founded roughly 3 years ago, Jason only recently and reluctantly divulged something lesser men would have been bragging about since the inception of their YouTube channels. The only reason Jason felt the need to release this information now is due to concern it will be leaked. As a courtesy, Jason explains to his audience the word mercenary, with the assistance of Wikipedia. A mercenary is a person that takes place in armed conflict who is not a national or a party to the conflict and is motivated to take part in the hostilities by the desire for private gain. Since Jason is aware that the word mercenary may be too extreme for some, he euphemistically explains that he was a hunter of exotic game, and that the game that he hunted did some sort of masonry or bricklaying. Jason acknowledges he may have skeptics but explains to them that they are younger than he is and that he became a man way back at the start of the Bill Clinton presidency. Jason Blaha reveals that he was scouted out for certain types of work before he finished high school partially because of his shooting skills. When confronted by people that claim that only combat veterans were scouted for covert mercenary operations, Blaha asks his audience what military veterans were available in the 1990s to do large amounts of morally questionable work. Blaha further explains that the only combat veterans at that time were really old Vietnam veterans and a limited amount of 1991 Gulf War soldiers, who had very little combat experience. In the 1990s the US was in the middle of the drug wars aka the powder wars, Blaha explains using insider drug war lingo. Blaha cites that because there were not even close to enough young skilled veterans to fill mercenary jobs countering drug cartels from the US-Mexico border down to Colombia and Venezuela, the US government called on people like himself who had the right background, aptitude, and skills, no military experience but could be trained and on call for the occasional operation both in and out of the country. Blaha acknowledges that he was always paid in cash but that training and hardware were worth their weight in gold. Blaha accepts that he and his fellow mercenaries were completely disposable and says that they were worked hard and sometimes we got broken, and since none of his fellow mercenaries were members of the military or worked for government agencies, they had no Veterans Administration benefits, no access to resources when things went wrong because everything was done clandestinely, or lati bra factum. To mercenary insiders like Jason, Blaha recounts that he watched a lot of fellow mercenaries either die in the field, commit suicide, be disposed of or disappear because, at the end of the day, they were disposable, a liability, to be thrown away like garbage. Blaha admits he's one of the lucky ones that survived. Despite his heroic service, there are those that doubt his mercenary employment, but Blaha cares not and requests that if any militant doubter wishes to come at him physically that they don't be an effing pog, which is yet more insider lingo that mercenaries with Blaha's experience incorporate into conversations. Blaha cautions those that would do him harm that he doesn't flinch anymore when he hears a rifle round by his head and that he hasn't flinched in 20 years from that shit. Blaha is defiant, saying that, if conflict arises, it won't be him that goes into the ground, he'll still be upright and drawing air.